We're having some technical difficulties with Councillor Burke. We've got her in audio, but we're having some trouble hearing her. So she's going to call in as well as be on audio. And thanks for joining the meeting. And I see Councillor Burke is now with us. She was. There we go. Councillor Burke, can you hear us now? You're on mute. Can you unmute her, Mandy? There we go. Councillor Burke, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
And we can hear you. Yay. Okay.
Okay. So everybody want to give me a thumbs up to make sure everybody's on track here? Okay, thank you. So I guess we'll get this meeting started. Before we do, I'd just like to welcome everybody here to our first Zoom virtual meeting, and to those of us who are in our virtual gallery. So during the meeting, even though Zoom has a chat feature, we will not be using the chat feature. We will be ignoring anything that comes in through that during the course of our meeting. The meeting will be just us chatting as if we were there in the same room, but we're all in different places, so we'll take it from there. And just to facilitate tonight's meeting, if it's with the acceptance of council, I'll just name a mover and a seconder for each motion just to try to speed the process up. If you object to being a mover and a seconder for the recommendation involved, just let me know, wave a hand or shout at me or something, and we'll try to take it from there. So with that, I will officially call the meeting to order, and our first item would be the adoption of the agenda. So I have a recommendation here moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan, that the agenda for the April 6, 2020 regular meeting of council be accepted and passed. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that brings us to any disclosure of pecuniary interest. I don't have any on today's agenda. Councillor Hearn?
No.
Councillor McCabe?
No.
Councillor Yates?
No.
And Councillor Burke?
No.
Okay, thank you. Our next item would be the adoption of the minutes from our special meeting on March 25th. So I have a recommendation here moved by Steve, seconded by Sherry, that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on March 25th, 2020 be adopted as circulated. Any discussion on those minutes?
No.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We don't have any business arising from previous meetings. We're on to items for consideration. Our first report, number 1, we have a recommendation here moved by Dan, seconded by Lisa, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CBO 2020-03 building permit review period ending January 31st, 2020. Any questions or comments on that one? Okay, all those in favor?
Sorry,
Oh,
Andy,
sorry, Steve.
I just was wanted to ask Darren just a quick question. Sorry. Are we still issuing building permits right now, or no? Is that closed?
Do you hear that, Darren?
We're issuing building permits for essential services, and we're working countywide on procedure for moving forward. Should have that settled this week.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Any other questions on this report? Okay, all those in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Next one, we have the next building permit review moved by Sherry, seconded by Steve, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CBO 2020-03 building permit review period ending February 29th, 2020. So we did January, now we're doing February. Any discussion on that one? Okay, all those in favor? It's carried, thank you. And it brings us to our third one. We're going to do March now. Moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan. That the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CBO 2020-03 building permit review period ending March 31st, 2020. Any questions or comments on that one? All those in favor then? It's carried, thank you. We're on to item 2. This is the EDO report 2020-06 community improvement program. So I have moved by moved by Steve, seconded by Sherry, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report EDO 2020-006, and further that Council approve facade improvement and grants as follows: $2,500 to Wellington Produce Packaging at 410 Sligo Road in Mount Forest. $2,500 to 2506661 Ontario Limited at 257 George Street in Arthur. $2,500 to Northview Properties at 392 Main Street North, Mount Forest. $2,078 to All About Me at 192 George Street in Arthur. $1,848 to Meet the Butcher at 157 Main Street South in Mount Forest. $750 to Stumbled Upon at 277 Main Street South in Mount Forest. And $400 to Arthur Greenhouses at 7480 Second Line, Arthur. And further, the Council approved facade improvement loans as follows: $2,500 to 2506661 Ontario Limited at 257 George Street in Arthur. Any, Steve?
Dale, I guess this is a question for you. The loan to Wesley Harmule, is there a time limit on that, on when he pays it back, or how does that work as we're kind of in this situation right now?
Yes, through you, Mayor Lennox. So Councillor McCabe, with all of these applications, none of the funds get paid out until the actual work is completed. So for a number of these applications, the work hasn't started yet. Once the work is complete, we will pay out the grant. And in the case of the loan, we will also pay the loan at that time. It has a 5-year repayment term, so it is interest-free for 5 years. And the first payment is due 6 months after we advance the funds. So if we advance funds, say in July, then the first payment would be due 6 months after that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Lisa?
Yeah, Dale, with what's going on right now, the applications that have not been completed, have you heard any talk of anyone that's, you know, on the fence or changing their mind?
Actually, no, these ones are all relatively recent, and the last 3 that are on the report there, so Meet the Butcher, Stumbled Upon, Arthur Greenhouses, they in fact all came in within the last week or so. So I think most of these will go ahead, and I would expect that we may see more applications coming through in the next few months. So that's kind of why I wanted to get ahead of the curve on these ones, and Council's very familiar with the community improvement program. It's interesting, included in here is our 100th application to the community improvement program. So that's a bit of a milestone that we've met. But Councillor Hearn, I think most of these will probably go through, but again, if they don't go through, then the funds don't get paid out as well.
Okay, Dan, I think you had your hand up, didn't you?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, Dale, that, you know, I think the uptake, I think we've talked about this in the past, but the uptake on this program just seems to be tremendous, and it's great to see local businesses moving forward with this program. Who knows what's going to happen in the next little while, but where we stand now, it's certainly been a good program, and I hope people or businesses will continue to take advantage of it. And I think that's a lot to do with your efforts and your knowledge of the people in businesses in both Mount Forest and Arthur. So anyway, it's a great program.
Thanks, Councilor Ray.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
I'll call the motion then. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We're on to number 3, finance. Moved by Dan, seconded by Lisa. The recommendation that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the check distribution report dated March 16th, 2020. Any questions or comments on that report? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We got another check distribution report. So this one moved by Sherry, seconded by Steve, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North received the check distribution report dated April 2nd, 2020. Any questions or comments on that one? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We're on to operations now. 4A. I have a recommendation here moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive 2020 wood brush and garden material disposal and pickup schedule. Open the floor for any discussion on that one. Sherry?
Yeah, I just have a question with regards to, it's stating on the schedule that it's just for the bag collection. And in previous years, we've been allowed to use reusable containers. So I just wondered if that was a change or if that was maybe a misprint.
I can speak to that as far as I think we're really trying to push for brown bags. But if people are using containers that they have used in previous years, I would think we'll be collecting them as well.
Okay, thank you.
I would just add to that that when we transition to the county solid waste doing this, they're going to have an expectation that they be in bags.
Okay.
So it might be a good way to start transitioning people to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, Dan, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask Matt, I mean, with the nice weather recently, there's a number of people that are putting their stuff in bags already that's sitting out. There's also people that are raking their debris right to the road and leaving it in piles, windrows, I guess. How are we going to address those situations? Some places are worse than others, but it's there.
You're still muted, Matt. Matt, you're on mute.
Sorry, yep, sorry. Through you, Mayor Lennox, and with the barking dog in the background. But the smaller piles on the road we'll deal with, but we would really prefer if they put them in brown paper bags. People that are raking all of their leaves to the shoulder of the road right now, it's difficult. We'd really rather them put them in paper bags. But the small stuff, as far as if you sweep your driveway out and you push it onto the road, we're going to deal with that because we're going around sweeping. But like if you have a whole bunch of leaves and you rake them to the road, that's really hard.
Just
go ahead, Dan.
So I guess, I mean, how are we going to deal with those people? People, they just rake it to the road and they leave it there with the expectation that we are going to pick it up. How are we going to notify them that it needs to be in brown bags? Is it a letter on the doorstep? Is it advertising? I don't know, but there's just, I mean, you've seen it in Mount Forest. There's certainly lots here.
Yep, through you, Mayor Lennox. I think we'll give them a notice, but I mean, ultimately we need to deal with stuff that gets pushed to the road, which anyway, it's not a, it's a difficult spot.
And I know the thing is, you know, if we pick it up once, you know, people just continue to rake it and leave it and not put it in the bags. Although there are a lot of people that are putting it in bags, and it's great to see that, and nice, tidy stuff. But yeah, we're gonna have to figure this one out for sure. So that's all.
Any other questions or comments on this, Mike? Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor Lennox, you mentioned before the transition to July 1st that the county is going to take on this type of program. And I think this leads or connects well with Councillor Yake's comment. I don't believe that they will be quite as accommodating to some of the situations that our operations staff tend to clean up. So taking a harder line now will also help with that transition, but it will also result in some backlash. I think we need to be prepared for that because I don't think Waste Management will probably be as proactive in terms of the program in come July 1st when it's a county or operated program. That's my anticipation. So I think Councillor Yake's comments are well heard and should be something that we look to address as best as we can this spring to try and transition people to brown bags being the only way that items are going to get picked up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the transition to the county solid waste looking after this will have some bumps on the road for us for sure. Dan, you had something else?
I think Steve was ahead of me, so go ahead.
Okay, Steve.
I was just going to say, I don't want the expectation to be that the town is going to have to clean up every time someone rakes their stuff to the roadway either. I know, Matt, you said we have to deal with it, and it's going to be difficult, but I don't know how to address that, because if you start doing it, then there's going to be that expectation that the next time I rake all my leaves or trim or whatever to the road, the township's going to pick it up, and I don't want that to go up or to happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think, did you want to say something, Matt?
No, you go ahead, Mayor Lennox.
Just was going to say, I think there's going to be some significant education required to transition this to the new county program. They don't have their program ready to announce. Like, I mean, if we could be distributing that information now, it would be better, but they're not ready for that. They're kind of busy with some other things. So yeah, I think we're going to have to be active participants in distributing that educational material once we get to July 1st or hopefully whenever we get that material, because it's going to represent a change for people for sure. Yeah. Dan?
Just one more question, I guess, to you, Matt. We've got on the general information here and the pickups in Arthur and Mount Forest, but people are putting their stuff out already. Like, we've got, you know, our first one's going to be May 27th. Here we are, just early April, and people are putting bags out already. How are we going to address that, I guess? Are we just, the 27th is it, and we let it sit there till then, or how, what do we do?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lennox. Basically, we're going to be cleaning up and like to work through the sweeping activity. So we can change the advertisement if council would like to reflect a April date. Reality is we're going to be picking up stuff throughout the month just to anticipate like going through and sweeping. So
Okay.
it's, but we could, and I think maybe in social media we'll put out that brown bags are the way to go. And if they put out brown bags if people put out brown bags in April, we'll deal with them.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Sherry?
Yeah, so just to Matt's point, so we will include that in the advertisement, because I don't want people to think that just whenever we put that out there. So would we advertise 3 dates then? Just to alleviate people putting stuff out whenever they feel like it?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning at. Like, we don't want to become a caretaker of that stuff just because they've pulled it to the front of their yard either.
Right, but it's been nice enough, and there's lots of people home looking for things to do, so
Yeah.
it's accumulated to the side of the road now. And the weather's nice, so if it sits there, but I also don't want people to have that expectation that if it's sitting out there that we're going to come along and get it. So if we advertise a 3rd date, I think that might be a little more advantageous to us.
Yep.
And-
Oh,
Go ahead, Matt.
yeah, through you, Mayor Lennox. We can put a 3rd date for sure, and it's a bit of a challenge right now because residents I don't think can go to the landfill. So we can put a 3rd date on that advertisement just to encourage it, because there's lots of people doing it right now, but definitely brown bags are the way to go.
Okay.
So
Steve?
do we add another date, or do we just, like, I think what maybe Dan was talking about is make it a little bit earlier?
Like we can add a date in April, or we can add a date in April or not, I guess, is the options from my standpoint.
Do you have strong feelings about that, Steve?
Well, I just don't want people's garbage to be, or not garbage, but it's supposed to maybe even snow this week. And it's not always going to be nice and sunny weather keeping that stuff dry.
Steve, I'm not sure if it was just me, but you broke up a little bit, so maybe you want to take that one again.
Oh, sure. I just don't, like, with the weather that we're going to even get this week, I don't want that stuff to be, it's too bad that it's something like, I understand that people are doing yard work because there's nothing else to do right now, but I don't want it sitting there for another almost 2 months. Well, a month, I guess, or for Mount Forest, almost 2 months, just sitting at the end of the driveway when it's going to be kind of crappy weather out over the next little while, and more when it rains too. That's all my kind of, I guess is about this one. Like, do we up Mount Forests so that it's not almost a month and a half away from today, and just drop another, like, and then drop the June date altogether. So there's still only 2 pickup dates. Just make it earlier.
Lisa, did you want to weigh in here?
No.
Matt, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't. I understand what Councillor McCabe is saying, and I know the road staff wants the roads to look good, right? So, and they'll ultimately do whatever council decides.
But I think what we're deciding here right now, I'll get to you, Dan and Sherry, just is
Yep.
we're looking to approve the dates that have been proposed in the report here. If we want to change those dates, we either give you the freedom to do that, Matt, or we need to specify that. I think that's the only fair way to go about this. Dan, did you want to add something?
I'd like to see us add a date in April and remove the one in June. In June, we're right at the start of July almost, when the county's going to take it over. So let's add one towards the end of April, the end of May, and remove the one in June, and let the county take over in July, and we'll move forward from there.
Be aware too that the county program anticipates 1 pickup in the spring and 1 pickup in the fall.
Yeah,
That's
I mean that's fair enough, but people are going to have to get, they're going to have to buy into that program. They're going to have to buy into the fact that it's only going to be twice a year, but and the fact that they've got to do it properly as well. But I think if we let paper bags sit out from now until the end of May, one, the bags will be disintegrated from rain and whatever, and I think people will be kind of screaming, wondering, what the heck's going on? How come we're not picking them up? So I think one in April, one in May, and skip the one in June.
Okay.
That'd be my recommendation.
Yeah, I can get behind that one.
Sherry, I thought you had your hand up.
Yeah, Dan beat me to the punch. That's sort of what I was thinking as well, is just because there's so much out there now that the end of April probably would be a good idea, and either just do the two dates, which I'm fine with. I just didn't know how Matt may have felt with it being in June, and whether that program gets delayed from the county, if we wanted to just publicize that date as well. That was sort of my thought of having 3 dates.
Okay, thank you. So I think what I'm hearing, Matt, I'll maybe ask you to comment on this, is we're still suggesting 2 dates, just looking to move one from June to April. And I guess I think we probably should leave that in your hands to determine when that would be the most appropriate time. Is that okay from your end, as far as you can see?
Yep. And when you talk about moving one date, it's really just the Mount Forest date. The Arthur dates we're okay with.
Anybody want to comment on the Arthur dates?
It's early May. It's like May.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that's okay. Those ones are okay, and we'll bump the Mount Forest ones just, to move them to the end of April and the end of May.
Yeah, I think that should work.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. So in terms of our minutes, you've got a motion on the floor that we'll receive this for information, and direction to staff will be to amend the 2 pickup dates in Mount Forest to earlier dates to be determined by the Director of Operations.
suits me fine. Everybody
Yep.
thumbs up for that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Is that clear enough for you, Matt?
Yep. Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be April 29th then in Mount Forest, and it will be May 6th in Arthur, and then each subsequent date will be a month out.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this then?
Nope.
So Karen, just from a process perspective, we can just go ahead and accept this recommendation, and the
Correct.
direction to staff will take care of it?
Yes, correct. So you have a mover and seconder, a motion on the floor. We've had the discussion. And yes, and we'll note in the minutes that direction to the Director of Operations is to amend the dates to whatever Matt just mentioned there.
Okay. Any final questions or comments? Okay, I'll call the motion. All those in
I'm
favor?
good.
That's carried. Thank you. Next up, number 5, the council item, Wellington North Power Inc. quarterly newsletter. So moved by Steve, seconded by Sherry, that the council of the corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive for information the Wellington North Power Inc.'s quarterly newsletter, quarter 4, October 1st to December 31st, 2019. Any discussion on that? Steve?
Is there a rainy date that is a possibility that could be used because of what's going on in the world right now, that the May 26th AGM could be switched, or has there been any talk about that at all?
We haven't got to that at this point. I suspect we probably will need to consider that.
Okay. Just
I
curious.
saw somebody else had a hand up. Was it you, Sherry?
That was me, Mayor Lennox, but my question's already been asked.
Okay. Sorry, I'll go to you first next time.
That's okay.
Sorry, Sherry.
Okay. Any other discussion on that one then? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we're on to Crime Stoppers Guelph Wellington newsletter. So moved by Dan, seconded by Lisa. The recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive for information the Crime Stoppers Guelph Wellington newsletter, The Informant, Spring 2020 first quarter. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Anybody have noticed a motion today? I just about jumped right over that. Okay, then we'll move on to bylaws. So we have first bylaw here, moved by Sherry, seconded by Steve. That bylaw number 34-20 being a bylaw to authorize a boundary road agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Southgate and the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North be read a first, second, and third time and enacted. Any questions or comments on that boundary road agreement?
No.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And our second one, moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan. The recommendation that bylaw number 35-20 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 119-19 being a bylaw to adopt a sewage allocation policy for the Township of Wellington North be read a first, second, and third time and enacted. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, all those in, Dan?
I just wanted to comment to Matt. I think we've talked about this before. I think this is certainly a good idea as we move forward in Wellington North, especially in Arthur with that new sewage plant coming online. We don't want all that to disappear in a matter of minutes, let's say, when it becomes available. So I really think this gives us some good control moving forward. It's a good document. I didn't really see anything in there that needed to be changed. Maybe there might be some tweaks here and there, but no, it's well put together. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Dan. Anybody else have anything they'd like to comment on? Okay. This has certainly been some time in the making, and we've discussed it a few times, and we'll look forward to seeing how this works for us. If nobody has anything else, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we have to move on to our confirming bylaw, and moved by Steve, seconded by Sherry. The bylaw number 36-20 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its regular meeting held on April 6, 2020. We read a first, second, and third time and enacted. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that brings us to adjournment. Boy,
Mayor Lennox, just
yes.
before you adjourn, could I just thank everyone, particularly Mandy, for stick handling this, for council for supporting it, Mike just staying out of it and letting Mandy and I do it, and for our first meeting, this went, I think this went really well. So thanks to everybody, thanks to the technology, special thanks to Mandy for stick handling this.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also extend my thanks. An old dog like me is learning a new trick or two. So.
Please.
So I guess we can move on to adjournment. I have a recommendation here moved by Lisa, seconded by Dan, that the regular council meeting of April 6th, 2020 be adjourned at 7:37 p.m. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.